So that was the Morning Glory?
That was the JHS Morning Glory. Well,
Cool.
welcome to Goes to 11 Pedal Show. Today we're going to be looking at the wild and speculative world of transparent overdrives. And we all know that term, if you ever go on a gear forum, it's like there's nothing that will make people froth or faint or like rage comment than leaving the word comment transparent overdrive to discuss much of anything. It's silliness.
What does it even mean?
You know what? Probably the simplest way to ever talk about it and describe it is it's an overdrive circuit that really is not necessarily doing anything crazy with your EQ. It's not lopping off any highs or lows or boosting in a huge way. It's supposed to be like your amp sounding like more. Like it's overdrive, it's supposed to be clear tone. So full frequency, full range overdrive, however you want to describe it. That's what we're swinging at, I think, when people start talking about, oh, I made this to sound transparent or whatever. Because obviously if it was a transparent pedal, it wouldn't sound like
it.
You'd be like, oh man, did you hear that? I stepped on it. Oh, it's great sounding.
It's so transparent, I can't even hear it.
So, clearly,
yeah,
there's some silliness in that.
It's not shaping it.
It's not, like I said, especially like if we're going to later on talk about tube screamers and stuff, and it'll cut off the top end and low end, and then it bumps up the mids. So it's doing a focused thing.
Yeah.
Whereas these ones, so if this is your blues driver, so thanks for.
Yeah, and usually when I use it, I use it real subtly.
Yeah.
I'm not.
So
I'm not using it to really crank.
Why don't you kind of walk through some of them? So we got the. Is that you trying out that bend that we were talking about?
Yeah, I gotta practice my bend.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you do bends on camera for everyone to mock mercilessly. No, I know. Blues Drive and the OCD already started off with a tonal similarity. I did notice that there was a bit of a shift with the JHS. I don't know where it's in the presence, but we'll listen more to that. They're all not hugely overdrive. In fact, why don't we just try each of them and just max the gain? We're to see like what the top of the gain is. And this is with the humbucker pickup. Yeah. Actually, so this is clean though. Already breaking up a little bit. Response.
It gets really bassy when you crank that up.
Try the high pass, the little toggle there.
Oh.
I just like saying toggle. That does make it more bright. That does shape the tone.
It does.
Compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind just turning the JHS on and off as I play, we're going to hear what frequencies are. It actually doesn't seem like it's adding any frequencies. The other ones actually seem to be adding a little bit more frequencies. definitely. There's a little bit of sculpting going on with what's happening in that circuit, but we're oftentimes, for me, if I'm using any of these pedals, I'm not going to run them at max gain as a general rule.
Right.
And this even has more on tap if you do that thing, but we're not even, I usually don't anyways. I'm using it for kind of a push gain sound, and I think you stack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. It's all the rage. All the kids are doing it.
No.
All the kids
Not
do
cool
it.
unless you stack.
Yeah. Come on. I mean, everybody else, non-stackers,
I don't even know.
you can't live just on the first floor. You have to move to the second floor, and then sometimes the third floor. But yeah, a lot of times I am playing it back just a little bit just to get that thing. Although the OCD, depending, it might get really bright with it. I don't know. We might as well try it out. See how hot and bright that is? Whereas the OCD kind of, I don't know, something's happening with the mid, just a tiny bit of scoop out of the mid that makes it kind of have that focus thing, whereas this seems like it has just a little bit, there's maybe just a
Yeah,
tiny
there's a
bit
hump in the
somewhere, upper mids or something like that.
Yeah.
And the Blues Driver, I like
Seems
that.
pretty flat.
I like
Seems
that
It's
sound.
not.
I like that sound. I've never owned a Blues Driver. Once back when I was in Vegas, somebody had a Keeley modded Blues Driver, and I actually used it on bass because I was playing bass in a band, and I used it on bass, and I was like, "This is cool. It sounds great."
Yeah.
And I borrowed it because it was the guitar player's, and he said, "You gotta try this. This is awesome." And I loved it while I was in that band, and then when I was into the band, he took it back. He remembered it. He lent it to me. Yeah.
What do you know what it did? Do you know what the mod did to it?
It had a switch for switching that you switched, and then it made a switched sound.
Oh, it was a switch sound.
Yeah, and it didn't sound like the other side of the switch sound.
Yeah,
It sounded like the switch.
that clears it
switch,
up.
Yeah, totally.
Thanks. Glad we're doing
Yeah,
this.
this is great. I'm a wealth of knowledge. I'll be here all week. If I remember correctly, it added. One of the sides was stock, and the other side did an added gain type setup, or
Okay.
shifted the toggle.
Shifted the toggle.
You guys, this is
What's the mod do?
Yeah, what's the mod do? Tell us what the mod does in the comment. And if you have, he's laughing back there. If you have that Keeley mod and stuff like that, tell us what you like about it or whatever. Tell us how that changed your life, and would you put you on the saga, that journey?
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Which one do you go to more often?
You know what? I'm one of those guys who I'll have like the pedal, like, this is my pedal board, I love it, I set it up, it's exactly how I want it, and then a week later I'm like, I don't know how to change that out.
Change it up.
But
yeah.
I will be perfectly honest, ever since I got that Morning Glory, and someone's gonna faint. I know, this is trigger warning, okay? All you pedal nerds out there. I had a Marshall Blues Breaker, and I loved that thing. It was a great pedal, big clunky hunk of metal.
Yeah.
The funny thing about that one is that, so I'm gonna just demonstrate on this guy, pretty much the knobs were useless until you got to about here on them.
Oh, yeah.
So even the volume, the tone actually was more, but so in order to get the volume unity was somewhere around here, and so that's all the wiggle room I had on it. And I had that one, and I loved playing it. It was always pretty much always on my board. It weighed more than my amp. It was this big hunk of metal.
Yeah.
When I got that, I played them, and I played them back to back, but I put them both on my board for a while, and I was just like, it was doing that, and it's like, so someone's gonna faint. So you've been warned. Someone in the comments is gonna be like, no, how could you have done that? I got rid of it, I sold it. I sold it because that was doing the same thing. It was achieving exactly that thing that I wanted it to do. And I mean, I've got a lot on tap. Everything's just, it just can do all the more. And that's just pushing the amp. Generally, I'm tending to have it some fairly light, you know, because of the stuff I'm playing a lot. Really touch sensitive. In fact, we're gonna look. That's what we'll talk about next. Is just how they respond to that. All right. You want to do anything?
So if we roll back, which ones?
Oh, they're amp-like, so they're. It's not like a fuzz. The actual. I'm gonna use a big college word. The topography of fuzz circuits.
It's over my
head. Hold on. We both gotta push the glasses up. Yeah. the way that fuzzes work and stuff like that. That's why some of them do or don't work on the volume. But overdrives, it's just
it acts like
that type of clipping. Yeah, so once you kind of run through them, and what I did, I was just using picking dynamics, and it just, they bloom, the notes bloom. They do it different ways too, so if you just kind of walk through. They react different.
They do.
To me, personally, the JHS does sound a little bit more like an amp doing its thing. The OCD, though, is very pretty. Like the thing that it's doing there, when you hit it, it sags in a really cool way. And the Blues Driver is surprising me because I've heard them before and I thought, oh, they sound kind of fizzy. But it's the bass and stuff that's putting in, that's pretty rocking.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool sound.
I do like the low end of that.
Yeah, the OCD. Amps like rattling. That's cool though. So they're actually for transparent overdrives. They're pretty different.
Yeah.
They're doing different things. They sound
options.
different. There's a lot of options out there. So That's cool. So when people talk about transparent overdrives, the reality is it's not always super transparent as far as like no EQ coloring. There was stuff happening.
It's definitely coloring.
Different flavors though, super cool. So you guys in the comments, tell us what are some of the overdrives that fill that gap as far as the transparent overdrive drive. Right now, some gear form moderators are like, turning over in their graves every time they hear that phrase. So anyways, tell us in the comments, subscribe or something.
Should we turn all these on?
Of course. Of course, here you go. Cool. That's our show. I'll start with a little something that doesn't suck. How about that? How about if I play something that
Either way.